Welcome back to the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Strength and Speed owner and Conquer the Gauntlet Pro, Evan Perperis. I've got two guests on the line with me. Before we get to them, though, a quick word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Hylete. Hylete makes fitness apparel and backpacks. If you've ever seen me at a race, you've probably seen me carrying one of their backpacks because that's what I bring to every single race I go to, literally. I've got the 6-in-1 backpack. It's awesome, very versatile. I'm also actually sitting in my new Hylete warm-up pants. They're like the softest thing ever, that have the CTG Pro Team logo on it, that you'll see me in once race season picks up again this year. We're also going to talk a little bit more about Hylete later on towards the end. Let's bring on our guests. Now, obviously this is an obstacle course racing focused podcast, but occasionally we like to do bonus episodes. So this is one of those bonus episodes. Our previous couple, we've done one on the Winter Olympics from an Olympian, and then we've done two focused on Gold Star wives, so wives that have lost their husbands in combat. And, you know, with coronavirus being big in the news right now, I have two friends that I'm really close to. We got a group of about 10 friends who we've been friends since high school, and we still hang out, you know, even after all these years. And two of them are working as EMTs in New York, in Queens specifically. So I wanted to bring them on just to kind of show you behind the scenes a little bit about kind of what's going on in New York. So first we got Mike on the podcast, and he's been doing EMT work for about 13 years total. So Mike, welcome.
Hey, how are you, Evan? What's going on, buddy?
And then we got one of my other good friends. We got Rob. Rob's been doing work EMS as an EMT for about 7 years. So Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Evan, thanks for having us, man. This is good.
Cool. Yeah. So like I said, you know, we look at the news and we see all these numbers and these statistics. And, you know, even just before I started this podcast, I was looking up at numbers, you know, and where I grew up in Nassau County, there's something like 26,000 cases of coronavirus. And where I live now in Missouri, the county I'm in has like 25. Pretty significant change there compared, and obviously there's a lot of like population density and total population is a big difference, but you know, I think people in the middle of the country are not seeing the same things that you guys are seeing in New York and where my family's from. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. I guess, Mike, take me through kind of what like a normal, you know, let's do pre-coronavirus, take me through what like a normal night or day of work is kind of for you, and then we'll go to Rob, and then we'll kind of do now that the coronavirus has kind of spiked. Yeah.
So I was a paramedic with the city for about 5 years, and then I became a fireman. So right now with us, with the firemen, we're just responding to cardiac arrest. So flat out, we're just going to people that have died in their homes with the virus. I'm sorry, I apologize. Not with the virus. Anybody that dies in their homes, we're going. Previous to this whole epidemic, maybe about, on average, 20 people a day would die in their homes that we would respond to and either work them up, bring them to a hospital, or work them up. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it, and you know, just and pronounce them dead. So that was about 20 a day on a normal day this time last year. With this whole epidemic, I mean, I'm not saying it's all from this virus. You can't, the numbers aren't there yet. But I mean, one day we had about 268 deaths occur at home. Somebody was throwing a number out there. One day we had 350. They're astronomical numbers, and it's stuff we've never seen before. It's actually really exhausting to work these and deal with them. The logistics just really aren't there to kind of sort through who's who and what's what with these deaths. But it can't be just a coincidence that this is going on.
Gotcha. Now, Rob, you're working EMS, so kind of tell us a little bit going on from your perspective.
So prior to all of this happening, which was probably what I guess we would start this at the beginning of March because we didn't really know what we were dealing with in February. Back in February, it was just, oh, this is the flu, and we'll just get through this and that's it. But a normal day prior to all this, I'm on the busier truck in South Jamaica, Queens. So on an 8-hour day, an 8-hour tour, I would do 6 jobs. Once this started picking up, there was no more just doing South Jamaica, Queens. It was wherever. Well, I'm the closest unit, South Jamaica, Queens, and I have to go to the border of Brooklyn now. Things got out of hand from there. On an 8-hour tour, you would be doing 8, sometimes 9 or 10 jobs if you're pulling up and people had been waiting for hours and they would just go to the hospital themselves at that point because the call volume, which was an average of 4,500 a day back in February, was skyrocketing on a daily basis. One of my last days of work was 5,700. And then once I got sick because I myself contracted the virus, I was seeing call volumes of 7,000 jobs a day. So things were just getting out of hand from there. And like Mike was saying with the number of arrests, I would still keep in contact with a lot of my guys that were staying healthy and going to these jobs. And it is relentless. It's just you can't even bring you down because you can't even fathom what you're seeing. I think you just don't even realize you're seeing it. And I think we're still not going to accept what we've seen until this is calmed down. I think Mike would agree with me on that one.
I mean, I would agree with you. I mean, it's totally out of control. I mean, the numbers are back down. These job numbers, we're going back down to where it's normal amount of calls in the day. Like you said, it was up to 7,000. I think yesterday it was somewhere around 4,500. I mean, a normal day is what, Rob? Like 3,000?
Oh, no, not anymore. I mean, we're at
really?
4,000, 4,500. Easter Sunday
like
was
normal...
I think Easter Sunday was right around 5,000. Went back up a little bit Monday. But like you said, we are down in the 5,000s now, which is still extraordinarily high.
Yeah, I think it's the sheer number of cardiac arrests that we're dealing with is really affecting the guys in the field on the streets. I talked to one medic who in a 16-hour shift did 20. He did 20 cardiac arrests. So now that's just 20 dead people. If you go into those homes, you're sure there's a couple of people living in those homes who also have the virus. And if they don't have the virus, you're dealing with like the emotional trauma of watching a family just come to an end, watching a family get destroyed. And it's really taking its toll on these guys.
So much respect for you guys. From the military side, all my deployments, I go someplace, do my job, and I work for 2 months to about 14 months, depending on the length of deployment. And I come home and it is a clean break. Like I am no longer in that world. I am no longer part of that environment. And honestly, again, this is Evan's personal experience, right? Like the really, really bad stuff I saw overseas, it wasn't against America. It wasn't American soldiers that were in those situations. It was enemy or it was civilians that had met an unfortunate circumstance. And, to me, there's a huge, I know it sounds maybe a little bit harsh, but there's a huge difference between seeing Americans in that situation and then seeing a different group of people in that situation. And then on top of that, it's people down the street. We drive to and from the city and go through those neighborhoods, I mean, on a daily basis, all the time, for both for work and for, leisure. So just a huge amount of appreciation for you guys. Because like I said, my family's still up in New York. And
you're not alone in that. I mean, I've heard that from military guys a few times, actually, that it's like, not patting myself on the back or whatever, but we're the ones that have to do it at home. And specifically with the thing you said about dealing with Americans, it's I don't know where I'm going with this. It's
different.
Yeah.
because
It affects you differently.
we're in Queens. It's not just, I guess, it's not just Americans. It's so diverse in Queens that you really don't know what you're walking into. So after, like Mike said, those medics that were doing the 20 arrests, every house they could walk into is a different ethnicity, a different language. To be able to talk to these families and explain why this is the last time they're seeing their loved one, sometimes you can't even do it, and that takes. And then when you're done not being able to explain, you're getting back in your ambulance and you're finishing your paperwork, and before you can even process what you want to do next, you hit the button to make yourself available, and you're called to the next. So you're not even catching your breath. You're hopefully taking a sip of cold coffee, and you're going to the next body.
I know. So I'm still part of the church that I got married in and baptized my children in New York. And I'm getting emails every couple of days saying another, 1 to 2 parishioners have passed away from the virus. So it's pretty wild. Then, like I said, I'm in the middle of the country. I'm in vicinity of Kansas City, and it's like, people just basically stay to themselves, and there's not much. Like I said, my county has like 25 cases, right? Like that's like a joke compared to what New York is dealing with right now. Mike, we were talking a little bit earlier about some of the guys who are working that have families back at home that they're trying to take extra precautions for. So you want to just share some of what your friends are going through?
Yeah, we got a couple of guys that are worried about their families, young kids, wives. I know a couple of guys living in their cars. There's a couple of guys living in garages and tents. They don't want to bring it in the house. We're working under the assumption that everybody's exposed, because everybody's exposed. Unless you're sick and symptomatic, you're going to work and you're doing your job. We're pretty much just, it's a waiting game to get sick. People are scared. People are scared of bringing it home.
Yeah, that's wild. And again, like I said, it's just a huge difference between guys like first responders and police and stuff like that, where it's in your backyard versus me. It's it feels almost like a different life when I go down range. So
I don't get me wrong. The city is and the unions, the Rob's union, the local EMTs and paramedics, and then our union, the UFA, the Uniform Fire Association. They're putting us up in hotels. There's some guys, if the circumstances are so bad, they'll put you up. So it's not like we're totally screwed on this, but yeah, it's definitely a hard time. You can't be with your family.
right,
Who
yeah.
knows what's going to happen in these?
Like we were just talking about, you have a rough day at work. Most people want to go home and see their family and feel like they're normal again. And then if you have a rough day at work, you're going to sit in a hotel, or you're going to sit in your tent in your backyard or your garage, right? Like that's not the way you want to come home from work.
No, not at all.
Rob, as you said earlier, I know you contracted the virus, right? So I guess just tell me a little bit about that experience and yeah.
So unfortunately, yeah, I contracted the virus. Unfortunately, it was in my home, so I was one of the unfortunate ones that did bring it home to his family, and I'm very blessed that Jessica, for the most part, her symptoms have subsided. Most of my symptoms have subsided. I haven't had a fever, so like Mike said before, I am now clear to go back to work. Whether I have a cough or not, that's the city doesn't really. They need me to return. Mike mentioned unions. I'm the union delegate at my station, so I've been contacting other members at my station to see how they're doing. Those that have tested positive, and really symptom-wise, we're everywhere. I had fevers. Jessica had one fever. Jessica had a lot of shortness of breath. I would only experience shortness of breath on my walk to the bathroom. Otherwise, I'd be fine. One of my members has had dizziness for 2 weeks now. Another member, he just had a bad stomach. To figure this out, that's why, like Mike said, these numbers are going to be all over the board, because we don't even know what the precise symptoms are. I never got the sore throat. The cough wasn't really bad until the back end. So everything is different. My concern for me, I get bronchial asthma every year. Am I going to develop pneumonia? I got lucky. I didn't. Two of my friends who are medics, perfect health, they both ended up in the ER. God bless, they're home. They're better. But there's no rhyme or reason to what we are seeing with regards to symptoms and how this virus runs through us. And that's really the scarier part of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of unknowns in general with this whole situation that are, I think, really kind of putting people on edge. Things you guys want to share with us as far as how things are developing? And
Again, on the union end of things, I'm seeing policy-wise, and Mike sees it on his end too in different ways. Whenever a procedure changes for us, we get what's called a buck slip, and the number of buck slips coming through with regards to how, okay, well, we're going to start doing jobs this way. We're going to start processing paperwork this way. You're going to treat patients this way. You're going to wear this mask this way. It changes every other day. I have stopped following the buck slips because I haven't been to work. When I return, which is actually tomorrow morning, I'm going to get there a half hour earlier and just read what is right now what I'm doing, because it has changed immensely over the last 3 weeks. It's just so hard to keep up that tomorrow I go back to a completely different job. So it's just a weird sensation knowing that tomorrow is like starting from scratch.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's wild. Myself personally, obviously because I have family in New York, but also the rest of the country appreciates the work you're doing. And if anyone's been following the news, I mean, the outbreak in New York has just been, I mean, it's unlike anywhere else in the country. It's just, New York is so population dense, and there's subways, and there's just you're just so crowded, right? Like you're walking down the streets and you're like almost bumping into each other on a normal day. So just thank you from not only from me personally, but from the wider obstacle course racing community and the work you guys are doing. Mike, any other thoughts you want to share?
He's muted again. I let him know that. But while we're waiting for him, I will say one other thing. I think when this is all over, our other concern is just all the PTSD that a lot of us are going to have from just seeing and feeling what's been happening to the city, the people around us, our own partners. It's just been a lot to take in. And once this all winds down, it's going to be summertime and our call volume is going to be up again. We're decimated. We're 16% of our membership, our EMTs and medics are sick already. So when they come back, it's just the besides the physical toll daily, the mental toll when this is all over, the emotional toll. Who knows where we go from there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm back. My fat face keeps on touching the mute button on my phone. it's really been a problem during this whole thing. Prior to what Rob said, I don't mean to cut him off or stomp out a conversation. You said that other parts of the country like just are watching on the news. I mean, I've been having a problem with. I'm a member of a couple of like fireman Facebook sites and social media things, and I think a lot of cops and firemen in other places of the country are having trouble really like grasping what's going on in New York. I'm seeing a lot of backlash over it. Oh, it's fake news, and the numbers aren't really up there, and everything typed. And I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at these people in real life, and it's happening. And you're trying to tell these guys, and they just want to go off on whatever they think that to go with their agenda. There is no agenda. I mean, as far as we're concerned. I mean, that's not a conversation to be having right now. We have to deal with the problem at hand, and the problem at hand is these people are getting sick. I mean, can it be a political tool? Absolutely, but that's not for us right now. Right now, we have to deal with the problem, and I just want to say that it's really happening here, and And Rob was touching on a little bit on PTSD and what's going to happen afterwards. And I just want to say it's exhausting. It's exhausting just maybe waiting to get sick. It's exhausting washing and cleaning, washing again. You're on edge in a almost like a constant state of anxious awareness. And I mean, there's going to be some definitely going to be some hurdles down the road for these guys dealing with this day in and day out.
And I mean, the washing, if you're doing it right, it becomes almost insane, right? Because you touch something and then you're like, well, I have to assume everything's dirty. So you have to wash your hands after that. But then like you have to be careful how you turn on the faucet. You have to be careful like how you're cleaning other things. You have to be careful how you're separating stuff. One of the units I was in charge of was a chemical decon unit. And I remember watching them run through their practices where they would, go through like mock things where like, all right, so you've got, enemy chemical weapons on you. How do you decon and how do you process that through? And it's just so insanely thorough. It's like you said, it's mentally exhausting because you're like, all right, now I have to remember exactly everything I touch at all times. And my wife is a cook / pastry chef, so she's pretty good with hygiene. So some of that, my wife's pretty on top of that because she's, anytime we have like, it's like dealing with raw meat, and put it like 10 times, obviously much worse, but similar concept where you have to be very careful where you're touching and what you're washing. So
yeah, I mean, my particular unit in the fire department, we're similar to what you were talking about, we're a CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear decon unit. So we go through all that training as well. And you're right, it's crazy. It's an absolutely crazy process to wash down these people. And now you're doing it on a less of a scale, but it's constant. It's I mean, every time somebody coughs, you're looking at them sideways and you don't know like
right
what's going on.
I know personally, I go running obviously a lot, and I typically develop some sort of nagging cough that sometimes lasts for a while. So now I feel like hyper paranoid every time I have to cough because I'm like I know it's just from running because I haven't gone anywhere in like 5 weeks. But
yeah,
I'm like, just my family's looking at me funny and stuff like that. So
they look at you funny. I had a piece of Raisin Bran stuck in the back of my throat the other day at breakfast at work, and like everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. Get them out of here! It's absolutely nuts what's going on.
I'm gonna cough tomorrow. I have an intern tomorrow. Guy's been on the street 3 days. I know I'm gonna have a cough tomorrow. Even if I didn't have the virus, I'd have a cough. It's just allergy season, and he's gonna lose his mind. Like Mike, like you guys were both talking about, just with the washing your hands. Even before I got sick and I was on the street, my knuckles from wearing gloves all day were black and blue. My hands were destroyed from not just washing but wearing the gloves. And you see pictures of these nurses and doctors who have the bruises around their eyes. And again, back to what Mike said about this being real, we are in the middle of it. There's nothing. Our bodies are just ravaged physically, let alone from whatever this virus will do to us, which, again, back to another thing Mike said, we all have to assume we have this. And just the physical toll and how we look at the end of a tour, it's exhausting. And for me to go back tomorrow, I'm exhausted just hearing about it for the last 3 weeks. For me to go back tomorrow, I know, I'm going to have a cough, the kid's going to bug, I'm going to come home, my hands are going to be destroyed again, and Friday I'll get up and do it all over again.
Again, I just really want to thank you guys for sharing your story. As a friend and as someone who's known you guys a long time, I'm extremely proud of both of you. I think our little small group of friends has some pretty amazing people in there. You guys you put yourself out there on a daily basis. And so, yeah, just really appreciate that. Yeah. Any final shout outs or things you want to say? Mike first.
Thanks, Evan. Thanks for having us. And I know your sponsor Highly sent us a little care package, and we're looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that was super nice of them. And UFOS, another one of our team sponsors, gave a bunch of nurses and medics some of their shoes. So pretty cool to see some of our Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team sponsors helping people out. All right. Any other shout outs do you want to give, Mike? Sorry, if I cut you off.
No, that's it. As far as these these frios for like the first responders and nurses and stuff, it's great. I mean, everybody has to eat. Everybody likes a lunch, but I think when this is all said and done, I mean, the real thing we got to do is invest back into small businesses and really help out the people that are going to be hurting. I mean, even though these, the first responders and the nurses and doctors were on the front line of this, I mean, we're still getting paid. So it's not like we're hurting that bad. I mean, we're doing our job and we're getting it done, but it's the people that can't do their jobs right now that are going to need help later on down the line. So I think that's just what I wanted to get across.
Gotcha. Rob, any final shout outs or things you want to say before we let you go?
Yeah, well, I'll hop on with Mike with regards to, remembering small businesses that will hopefully return to normalcy sooner than later, and Hialeah as well. I've been in touch with them, and I'm looking forward to them. They want to take care of me and my unit, so we do appreciate that immensely. Every day I get pictures of just immense amount of meals that are sent to my station and how my members are taken care of, and that means a lot to us as well. So everybody out there that goes out of their way to thank us and put food on our plates, we don't have a lot of time to eat, so to see a hot meal, it means a lot to us. So shout out to everybody that's just gone out of their way to take care of us. Thank you for having us, and you set a bar, Evan, with regards to what me and Mike can and everybody should be doing to better ourselves and to better this country. So thank you for having us. It means a lot to me.
Awesome.
Thank you, Evan.
Well, it was good talking to both of you, Mike and Rob, and stay safe, please. Keep your family safe and keep New York safe. And looking forward to when travel resumes again and I can head back to New York and see all you guys in person. So
thanks, buddy. Can't wait to see you, man.
Cheers to that, brother.
I'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.